Okay, friends. In meditation, it's different practices that we can do, right? There's different activities or explorations that we can do from from focused attention to open attention to walking practices to eating practices. There's different ways that we can practice meditation, if you will. So, I want to invite you to explore realms of practice and see what you have an affinity to, see what you have an aversion to, and in that infinity and aversion, you're able to find out more about yourself. So today we're going to do a focused attention practice. This is usually a practice that folks start off in as they begin meditation and as they begin to flow and turn inward to themselves. So I want to invite you to find a comfortable, accessible, and supportive position. And maybe you're already in one, that's cool, that's alright. Or maybe you want to transition into one, right? And as you transition into that position or recognize what you're about to begin, see if you can find a space, a spot that has you feel comfortable. Maybe it's standing or sitting like we are. Maybe it's lying down. Maybe it's walking. Or maybe you're listening to this while you're driving, right? As you transition and begin to arrive in that position, start to acknowledge your breath, how it feels flowing into your body and how it feels flowing out of your body. And as you begin to acknowledge, maybe that calls you to close your eyes or allows you to relax your gaze. But begin to follow those breaths as they enter your body and as they leave your body. Sometimes we're leading our breaths, and our breaths aren't leading us. But for this focused attention practice, see if your breath can be at the forefront as you begin to zoom in further and further to that breath, to its inhale, to its exhale. And maybe that calls you to change the rhythm or momentum of your breath. Maybe slowing it down to a pace that feels good for you. Notice any temperature, texture, or taste in each inhale and each exhale. As you become more familiar with your breath, this is called your anchor. I invite you to think of your anchor as your tool to be able to be grounded in the moment, grounded in reality, grounded in here. Each inhale and each exhale allows us to be present and now, and here, and present. Now, you may feel some slight pulls, and tomorrow's or yesterday's may feel your mind jumping to different things other than your breath. That's completely normal. Gently acknowledge where your mind goes. Recognize where your mind goes. And then carefully, compassionately, bring your mind back to your breath. Back to your inhale. Back to your exhale. Back to your inhale. Back to your exhale. Inhale. Exhale. exhale. In, out. Keep following your breath here. Maybe deepening your breaths, allowing yourself the full exposure of traveling, accompanying your breath. Maybe expand your awareness to how your body responds to each breath. Maybe on the inhale, your chest inflates, your shoulders move back. Maybe on the exhale, your shoulders relax, your belly deflates. Notice how the body responds and is connected to your breath, to that momentum, to that pacing. And if you find your mind wandering, again, completely normal. Acknowledge where the mind goes. Carefully, compassionately, bring the mind back to this moment, to where we are, to where you are, to that inhale, to that exhale. So this is mindfulness, this is meditation, this is mind-body connection. You transition into the practice, you're in it now. And what really is the practice is that pulling of your mind back to the moment. As you practice more, you possibly have to pull your mind back less. You'll be able to deepen your practice enough to be able to follow along with your anchor for a longer periods of time. Really explore what your body is telling you, what your mind is telling you. A question I like to ask myself is, what's emerging for me? What's emerging for you? Emerging for you. Maybe it's thoughts, feelings, emotions. But in that focused state of focusing on our breath, we're able to listen a bit more deeply when we ask ourselves that question. Through it all, honor where you are, and that you're always in a position of choice as you explore. Gently, friends, I want to invite you to take a final deep breath here. Acknowledge through your senses anything you may be hearing other than my voice. And slowly begin to bring some animation back to your body. Maybe a wiggle of the fingers, a wiggle of the toes, a fluttering of the eyes. And as you come out of your practice, look around the room and acknowledge where you are. Maybe you don't have 5 minutes, maybe you don't have 3 minutes, maybe you don't have 1 minute, maybe you have 30 seconds. But the invitation is to care for yourself and to pay attention on purpose when you can. Thank you.
Thank you. In one of our Pause With Me sessions, Something you said that stuck out to me was, we think about mindfulness and sort of the focus is on our mind, on our sort of internal dialogue. But you kind of went a step further and talked about the integration of the whole body. Could you speak to that? Kind of what was your line of thinking as you're kind of exploring mindfulness more as a teacher?
Mm-hmm. I think the whole field of mindfulness is really um, gate kept. And it has origins in Eastern culture, and a lot of the things of which we know from it was, I don't want to say colonized, but taking away from people of color and turned into this whitewashed practice. I like to say that we already know what mindfulness is. And our grandmother used to sit on the porch and watch just the scenery, or when she used to tell us to be still. It's a form of mindfulness that is connected to our body. So when we think mindfulness, we think about our mind. But too many times we're stuck in our heads and we're already mindful. We're full from our minds. But I like to think of mindfulness as more of a mind-body connection. And so I've been really wrestling with the language of mindfulness, because I don't think that's the word that really invites people in, and people have an aversion to it because of that. Really, it's mind-body connection, and finding that connection between our minds and our bodies that makes sense for us, because oftentimes we're so disconnected from our bodies and so disconnected from our minds that we're not able to bridge the two. It's similar to how athletes find flow, that zone. Mindfulness or mind-body connection is what they're experiencing, and that's always available to us. But through capitalism, through rustle and bustle of every day, just the doing of life, we lose that connection when we can really tap into that at any moment.
Yes. What has been the most difficult aspect of the mindfulness practice for you to explore, the mind-body connection practice for you to explore?
I think the most difficult part, but the most rewarding part, I have to say, is meeting the unwanted. Because who wants to do that? Who wants to meet the unwanted parts of their minds, the unwanted parts of their bodies? I was doing a body scan recently, and I felt some pain in my chest, and the pain in my chest was a realization that I wasn't paying attention to me. And I'm paying attention to work, I'm paying attention to family, I'm paying attention to friends, but I wasn't taking no time for me. And I was able to find that and recognize that from that pain in my chest. That's what the feeling was. And so it's been the most challenging part, but the most rewarding part for me to lean into at this stage in my own practice. But in the beginning, I think the most challenging part was even trusting that this was something that I can explore, because I think Black folks, people of color, we have a hard time with invested care. We love things that can show quick results, but not things that may have later results, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months from now. And that's what I think mind-body connection mindfulness is. It's that investment in future self.
Yes. Yeah. How were you able to put words to the feeling in your chest?
I go back to the practice. I think I was able to put feelings to those words because I was able to put feelings to the wanted words, the wanted experiences. So my shoulder feels good today. I'm able to explore that and find words, and that goodness that helps me to find words, and when those feelings aren't there. I receive some positive affirmation. I feel that in my belly. I know that feels good. I know that feels right. That reminds me of how good of a job I did with this thing in the past and how I felt it in my belly. Yes. So I'm able to develop language for the unwanted things that I feel. It enables me to recognize my body and the wisdom that my body has to tell me what's really going on.
Yes. Absolutely. Being able to, in the silence, being able to find that answer. Is mindfulness or the mind-body connection, is meditation for everyone?
I would invite everyone to interrogate that for themselves. I don't think yoga is for everybody. I don't think weightlifting is for everybody. But you can be curious about it and see if it's for you. It has a science behind it that folks have found some goodness in. And so I invite folks to contend with, like, is this for you? Like, does this work for you? Maybe this is not your thing. Maybe, I don't know, a different form of meditation is for you. Maybe working out or walking is for you. But I do invite folks to contend with, what does self-care beyond the performative measures mean for you? What does care mean for you? What does compassion, what does resilience building mean for you? And if it's mindfulness, cool. If it's not, also cool. But if we're not meeting ourselves, I worry about us being lost in mindlessness, which I think is something that we're all participating in somehow, some way, due to our context. And that was the tool that I use in my toolbox. But I don't wake up every morning like, let me run to do this. Because I also don't want to develop not a crutch for it, but like I don't want to develop I want to say a need directly for it. It's something that's, I'm in a position of choice. And I think that choice element allows me to lean into that when I need to.
Good. Excellent. Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.